The spaceship Silver Star landed on the surface of Thraxis 9 with a low hum. Dust blew into the air as the engines cooled down. The sky was a strange shade of purple, and 3 moons hung in the distance like watchful eyes. Commander Elias Mercer stepped down from the ramp, his black boots crunching against the glassy blue soil. It had been years since he had visited this part of space. Thraxis 9 was the heart of the Thraxian Empire race of tall, insect-like aliens. In the past, they were enemies of Earth. Many humans died in the Thraxian-Human War, but something had changed recently. A message had come directly from the Thraxian Queen herself, Commander Mercer. The message had said, "Your presence is requested. You are the only one we trust." Mercer wasn't sure why they wanted him. He was no longer a soldier. Now, he worked as a diplomat, trying to make peace between old enemies. But the Queen's message had felt personal, strange, almost like she knew him. He adjusted the strap of his gear bag and looked at the approaching figures. For Thraxian, guards came forward. Their shiny black shells reflected the alien sunlight. Their legs clicked as they walked, and long spears were held tightly in their claws. "You are Elias Mercer," one of them said, its voice coming through a translator. "Caller, the Queen awaits." Mercer nodded. "Take me to her."
Ow.
The ride to the royal palace was quiet. Mercer sat inside a floating transport, surrounded by guards. Outside the clear walls, alien plants swayed like ribbons. Flying creatures zipped through the air, and the tall crystal towers of the city glowed in the distance. As they moved closer, Mercer felt a strange sensation in his chest. A memory. No, a feeling. He had been here before, somewhere like it, but that was impossible. He'd never officially set foot on THIR Axis-9. Still, in the back of his mind, a voice whispered, "You're safe now." He shook his head. Maybe he was just tired. The palace was a wonder. Giant columns of silver and blue stretched to the skies. The floor sparkled like starlight, and waiting at the center of the throne room was the Queen. Queen Zalara stood tall and still. Her body shimmered with gold and emerald. Her wings folded gently behind her, twitched as Mercer entered. Her eyes, large, multifaceted, and glowing, locked onto his. For a moment, silence filled the room. The guards stopped moving. Even the air seemed to pause. Then softly the Queen spoke. "Wait," she said. Her voice was slow, careful, almost filled with awe. "I remember now." Mercer tilted his head. "Remember what?" The Queen took a step forward. Her gaze grew warmer. "You must be the one who saved me years ago." Mercer's heart skipped a beat. "What are you talking about?" he asked. The Queen looked at him closely, studying his face. "During the uprising, when I was just a hatchling, there was fire everywhere. My family was gone. I was trapped, afraid. And then a human came." She touched her chest. "He broke into the prison, fought off the rebels, carried me out. He told me I was safe now." Mercer's eyes widened. He suddenly saw it like a light turning on in his memory. The young alien girl trembling in a cage, the smell of burning fuel, the sound of laser fire, his arms holding her close as he ran through falling debris. It had happened. He had been there, but the mission was secret. It was during a Black Ops Operation 1 the government erased from all records. He was told to never speak of it again. He thought she had died after he left her with the safe house crew. He had always blamed himself. "I remember now," she repeated. "You wore armor like starlight. Your eyes were kind. You wrapped me in a blanket and said I would be okay." Mercer swallowed hard. "I didn't think you survived." "I did," the Queen said. "I never forgot." The room remained quiet as the weight of truth settled between them. "You called me here," Mercer said. "Was it because of that?" "Yes," Zalara replied. "Partly, but there is more." She turned and motioned for him to follow. They walked through glowing hallways lined with ancient symbols and artwork. Finally, they entered a private chamber, a garden, full of floating lights and gentle music. The Queen sat on a carved stone and looked up at him. "My people are divided," she said. Some want peace, others want war. I have kept the balance for years, but now a storm is coming. Mercer frowned. An old general, she said. Corvax, he believes peace with humans is a weakness. Once, to take control, if he succeeds, there will be war again. Mercer crossed his arms. Why tell me all this? Because the Queen said softly, you once saved one life. Now you might save millions. Mercer looked around the garden. Feeling the gravity of her words, this wasn't just a visit. It was a call to action. But I'm not a soldier anymore, he said. I talk now. I sign papers. Zalera looked into his eyes. Maybe. But the man who saved me still lives inside you. I can feel it. Mercer sighed. He felt the old fire stirring in his chest. He had buried it long ago, but now it was waking up. Do you trust me? He asked. With my life, she said. Then show me everything, he said. I need to know what we're facing. She stood, wings unfolding. Slightly, follow me, Elias Mercer, she said. This time, we save the future, together. Commander Elias Mercer stood beside Queen Zalara in the quiet garden chamber. The floating lights danced around them like tiny stars. Outside the thick crystal walls, night had fallen over the city of Thraxis Prime. The Queen's wings fluttered softly. She turned her head and looked up at him. Her voice was low, but strong. There are those in my court who would kill you, Mercer. Some don't believe humans deserve peace. Others fear you. Mercer raised an eyebrow. Why would they fear me? I'm just one man. No, she said. You're the man from the story. The human who saved a royal child. The one who wore fire and thunder. That story has power. To some that makes you dangerous. Mercer folded his arms. So that story became a legend. Yes, she replied. When I took the throne, I told no one who saved me. But whispers spread. Now many believe in the shadow human. They say he appears only when there is great need. Mercer chuckled. Sounds like a ghost. Zalera didn't smile. Ghosts don't save lives, but legends give hope. Right now, my people need hope. Mercer nodded slowly. All right, tell me about this General Corvax. They sat beside. A pool of glowing water. Queen waved her hand, and an image appeared above the pool. A tall Thraxian with dark red armor and razor-sharp mandibles. His eyes burned like molten rock. Corvax is a war hero, Zalera explained. He fought in the war against Earth. Many still follow him. He believes humans are weak and soft. Says I am weak for seeking peace. Is he planning a coup? Mercer asked. She nodded. Yes, I can feel it. He moves in shadows. He builds. Alliances in secret. My guards are loyal, but they are few. If he strikes, he will do it fast. He will kill me. Mercer's jaw tightened. And Earth. He will attack Earth next, she said. No. To unite our people through war. Thinks victory will make him a god. Mercer looked at her carefully. Why didn't you call your own army? Because I don't know who I can trust, she whispered. Because I still trust you. Later that night, Mercer was given a guest chamber inside the palace. It was large and filled with strange furniture, soft cushions shaped like petals in a sleeping pod that gently hummed. He sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the wall. He couldn't sleep. Too many thoughts filled his mind. The memory of saving that child, the Queen's eyes when she said, I remember. The weight of what she had asked of him. He stood up and opened a small metal box from his bag. Inside was an old photo, a younger Elias Mercer, standing with a group of soldiers, all smiling, all gone. He ran a hand through his gray-streaked hair. Looks like I'm going back in, he muttered. Suddenly the door beeped. Someone was outside. He opened it slowly. A Thraxian guard stood there, breathing heavily. Its armor was scratched, and one of its arms was missing. Commander Mercer, it said, they're coming. Mercer's eyes narrowed. Who? Corvax's assassins. Suddenly, a blast rocked the palace. The hallway shook. Alarms began to scream in the distance. Mercer grabbed his gear. Where's the Queen? She's still in the throne room. The guard collapsed from its injuries. Mercer didn't wait. sprinted down the corridor, dodging sparks and falling debris. Laser blasts echoed through the palace. He reached the throne room. 2 insectoid warriors were closing in on Zalara. She held a blade in each claw, fighting with speed and grace. One assassin lunged. She dodged and stabbed its side. The second one raised its blaster. Mercer didn't think. He pulled out a compact pulse pistol from his side pouch and fired. The bolt hit the attacker square in the chest, knocking it down. Zalara spun and finished the other with a slice. She turned. Wings were torn. Her breathing was fast. "I knew they would come," she said. "You all right?" Mercer asked, helping her up. "For now." But more footsteps echoed down the hall. "Reinforcements. We can't stay here," Mercer said. "Where's the nearest exit?" "There's a tunnel under the garden chamber," she said quickly. "Follow me." 2 ran through the palace, moving through back passages. Zalara used secret codes to open hidden doors. Mercer covered their rear, shooting at the attackers when they got too close. Finally, they reached the garden again. Zalara rushed to a corner and touched a glowing stone. A panel slid open, revealing a dark tunnel. "Go," she shouted. They jumped in. The door sealed behind them. Darkness, only the soft light from Mercer's wristband, lit the narrow path. They moved quickly, deep underground. "Where does this lead?" Mercer asked. "To the Undercity," she replied. "A place where the lower castes live. Korvax has no power there. It's where I hid after my family died." No one would expect the queen to return. As they walked, Mercer noticed her limp. "You're hurt?" he said. "It's not deep," she replied, but her voice was tight with pain. He stopped. "Sit. Let me see." She hesitated, then slowly sat on a stone. Her leg had a long gash, bleeding a clear greenish fluid. Mercer opened his bag, cleaned the wound, and applied a gel. "You've done this before," she said. He smiled. "Too many times." She looked at him, her eyes shimmering. "I never said thank you." "You don't have to," Mercer said. "Do," she replied. "You saved a scared child. Now you're saving a nation." Mercer looked at her for a moment. "We're not done yet." Hours later, they arrived in the Undercity. It was dim and quiet, full of twisting alleys and flickering lights. Strange creatures watched them from the shadows. A group of Thoraxians stepped forward, old, their shells cracked with age. But their eyes lit up when they saw Zalara. "Your Majesty," one of them whispered. She nodded. "I have returned. I need your help." The elders bowed. That night, Mercer sat with Zalara in a small shelter made of glowing leaves and metal. She was resting, her wounds bandaged. He sat by the door, keeping watch. His communicator buzzed. A signal, weak, but there. He opened it. "Earth Command. This is Elias Mercer. I am alive. The Queen is with me. There has been an attempted coup. I need extraction plans and diplomatic backup. War may be coming." He ended the message. Then he looked at the sleeping queen. She had risked everything to tell the truth. To stop war, to trust a human. And now it was his turn to repay that trust. He gripped his pistol. "Come on, Korvax," he whispered. "Let's see what you've got." Commander Elias Mercer opened his eyes to the dim light of the Undercity. The air was damp and filled with the soft hum of distant machines. Strange alien vines climbed the cracked walls, and glowing insects hovered around broken lamps. He hadn't slept much. His body ached from the chase, the fight, the long walk through tunnels, but his mind was awake. Today was not a day for rest. Beside him, Queen Zalara stirred under a cover of soft leaf cloth. Her leg was still wounded, but the color had returned to her face. She looked up at him. "You didn't sleep," she said. "Didn't want to miss anything," he replied with a tired smile. She sat up slowly. "You always did keep watch, even back then?" He nodded. "Old habits don't die easy." Zalara looked around the small shelter. "The Undercity has changed since I was last here. But the people, they still remember me." "Good," Mercer said, "because we're going to need their help." Later that morning, Zalara stood before the elders of the Undercity. Small group of old Thraxians, their shells faded, their eyes wise. Behind them stood younger workers, builders, and old veteran citizens, forgotten by the upper world. I was once like you, Zalera said to them, lone lost. I survived among you, and now I ask you, will you help me again? It was silence. Then an elder stepped forward. We remember the hatchling queen, he said. We remember the human ghost who saved her. You are both legends now. If you rise, we will rise with you. A low sound filled the air. It was the Thraxian version. Of a cheer clicks, hums, and wing flutters, Mercer smiled. Looks like we've got ourselves a rebellion. In a secret chamber beneath the Undercity, Mercer and Zalara planned their next move. A map was projected in the air, showed the capital above and several red zones. Corvax has taken control of most of the palace, Zalara said. He hasn't touched the Tower of Records. What's that? Mercer asked. It holds the Royal Archive records, security footage, official broadcasts, everything. Mercer leaned closer. If we get in there, we can show the whole Empire what Corvax did, she finished. The attack on the palace, the assassination attempt, the truth. Mercer nodded. Then we show them, show everyone what kind of leader he really is. But the tower is heavily guarded, she warned. We'll need a distraction. Mercer looked at the map again. Leave that to me. Hours later, the plan was set. The Undercity workers began building. Small EMP bombs using old tech. Veteran fighters polished their old weapons. Even the children helped by running messages and carrying supplies. Mercer stood with a small team of mixed humans and Thraxians who lived in the outer zones. Smugglers, ex-soldiers, and exiles. We don't have an army, he told them. But we have something better: truth and each other. He looked at one of the human fighters, a woman named Sarah. You still know how to hack into the city's power grid? Like riding a bike? She smirked. Good, he said. We turn off the lights. That night the plan went into motion. At exactly midnight, the lights across the city blinked out. Every tower, street, and sky path went dark. Only the stars above remained. Then came the noise explosions in the sky. Fireworks stolen from a festival vault. They lit up the air in red and green. Corvax's forces were confused. Alarms went off. Soldiers ran in circles, and in the shadows, Mercer and Zalara moved toward the Tower of Records. The tower was tall and smooth like a silver needle rising into the sky. Its guards were elite. But the distraction had drawn most of them away. Mercer used a stolen ID chip to open the lower doors. He and Zalara slipped inside, moving fast and quiet. This place is huge, Mercer whispered. Yes, she replied. But the control room is at the top. They took the lift up 50 floors. The glass elevator gave a full view of the burning lights outside. The city was in chaos. We don't have much time, Mercer said. They reached the control room, too. Guards stood in their way. Mercer fired first, quick and clean. The guards dropped. Zalara rushed to the main console. She placed her claw on the scanner. Access granted. Screens lit up with video. Feeds footage of the palace attack, of Corvax meeting with shadowy allies, soldiers placing bombs. This is it, Mercer said. Play it across the whole network. Zalara clicked several buttons. Then her voice came through every screen in the city. This is your queen, and this is the truth. Every home, every ship, every tower saw the truth that night. The people watched as Corvax betrayed the throne. They saw the human who saved the queen years ago now standing beside her once again. They saw Zalara bleeding, fighting, surviving, and they remembered. In the palace, Corvax roared with rage. Shut it down, he screamed. Shut it all down. But it was too late. The people had seen, and the army began to split. Some stayed loyal to Corvax, but many turned. Fighting broke out across the city. Civil war had begun. Back in the tower, Mercer looked at Zalara. We did it, he said. No, she replied. We started it. Now we have to finish it. Mercer nodded. Let's take back your throne. In the following days, chaos ruled the streets. But now the people had hope. Mercer led small raids with rebel fighters. He rescued captured citizens, broke supply lines, and disabled war machines. Zalera broadcast daily updates, strong, clear, and brave. Her people rallied behind her. In every dark corner of the empire, the queen's voice lit a fire. One day, as they planned their final push, Zalera sat beside Mercer on a rooftop. She looked at him and said, "You could have left. You didn't have to stay." Mercer looked out at the city. "I don't run from what I start." She smiled softly. "You haven't changed." "You have," he said. "You were once just a scared kid in a cage. Now look at you." She looked down. "You gave me that chance." They sat in silence for a moment. Then she asked, "After this, will you go back to Earth?" Mercer thought for a long time. "I don't know," he said. "Maybe Earth isn't where I belong anymore." Looked at him. "Maybe your place is where the fight is." He nodded slowly. "Maybe." Far in the sky, warships began to gather. Corvax was preparing for one final battle, but this time he would not face a scared hatchling or a broken people. He would face a queen, and the human who once carried her out of fire. Together, they were not just a legend anymore. They were a storm. Dark smoke rose above Thrax's prime. Fires burned across the skyline. Broken skyships drifted through the air, and the thunder of war echoed through every street. The Civil War had begun. Commander Elias Mercer crouched behind a wall as a plasma. Blast flew past his head. He aimed and fired his rifle. The enemy soldier dropped. Beside him, Queen Zalara moved like lightning, her wings tucked, blades in hand. She struck down 2 enemies with silent speed. They'd come far, but the battle was not over. Corvax's forces were pushing back. His elites were better trained, better equipped. The rebels had heart, but heart alone would not win a war. "We're losing ground near the palace gates," said Sarah, the human hacker. "Over the Cums, they're bringing in walkers." "Then we take out the walkers," Mercer growled. "Give me 5 minutes." Minutes later, Mercer led a small squad across broken rooftops. Fires crackled beneath them, the walkers' giant 4-legged war. Machines marched below, firing into rebel lines. Mercer dropped to one knee, aimed his rocket launcher, and fired. Boom! One walker exploded, its legs folding like matchsticks. The second turned its turret toward them. "Move!" Mercer shouted. The rooftop exploded behind them as they jumped to safety. Mercer rolled and hit the ground hard. He groaned, but pushed himself up. "We're still alive," coughed. The squad cheered, back at the rebel base in the Undercity. Queen Zalara stood before her people. Her armor was scratched. Her face was bruised, but her voice was clear and full of fire. "Today, we take back what is ours. Corvax has ruled with fear. But fear will not win this day. We are not weak. We are not broken. We are many. And we have something he never willed: truth, unity, and the will to rise." Cheers rang out. Mercer watched her from the side. She wasn't the scared child he once saved. She was a queen, a leader, and maybe something more. The final plan was simple. Step 1, break through the palace shield. Step 2, enter the throne room. Step 3, expose Corvax to the world. Defeat him. End the war. But nothing ever went as planned. The next morning, the assault began. Rebel forces charged the outer walls. Imp bombs took out turrets. Human and Thraxian fighters moved side by side. Mercer led the front line, dodging plasma fire, throwing grenades, pushing forward with everything he had. Zalara flew above. Giving commands through comes guiding troops, fighting like a storm. Suddenly, the sky turned red. A massive Thraxian warship appeared. Corvax's flagship, it hovered above the palace, aiming giant cannons toward the rebels. "They're going to wipe us out," Sarah yelled over the radio. Mercer's eyes narrowed. "Not if we get inside first." Using a stolen code, Zalera opened a hidden gate. A small team entered with her, Mercer, Sarah, 2 Thraxian warriors, and a stealth drone. They moved fast. Through secret tunnels under the palace above them, the battle raged. Finally, they reached the royal hall. It was dark, quiet too. Quiet, then the lights snapped on. They were surrounded. Dozens of Corvax's soldiers stood on the balconies above. Weapons ready at the center of the room. On the throne sat General Corvax. His red armor gleamed. His voice was sharp and cold. "You should have stayed dead, Queen," Zalara stepped forward. "And you should have stayed loyal," Corvax laughed. "Loyalty. You wanted peace with the humans. You betrayed your own blood." Mercer stepped in. "She's twice the leader you'll ever be." Corvax stood. "And you're the ghost, the fire human, the hero of children's tales." He drew a giant energy blade. "Let's see if you bleed like a man." Without warning, the throne room exploded into chaos. Zalara leapt into the air. Blades flashing, Mercer fired into the guards above. Sarah sent her drone to jam. "The enemy's comes." Corvax charged at Mercer. The two clashed. Steel met fire. Corvax was stronger than Mercer expected. His blade cut deep into the floor, his strikes heavy and wild. Mercer dodged, rolled, fired again. The two circled each other. "You fight well," Corvax said, "but you're still human, still weak." Mercer smirked. "You talk too much." Da-da-da. Launched a grenade. Smoke filled the air. He tackled Corvax into a pillar. The fight was brutal fists. Blades, blood. But Mercer held his ground. Zalara battled two elite guards at once. She was fast, too fast for them. With a spin and a flash, she cut them down. Then she turned and saw Corvax raise his blade toward Mercer's neck. Elias. She screamed. She flew forward, slamming into Corvax with all her strength. He stumbled. Mercer stood, breathing hard, bleeding. Zalara faced Corvax. "This ends now. The Queen versus the General." Blades clashed. Sparks flew. Finally, Zalara knocked the blade from his hand. Corvax growled. "You won't kill me?" "No," she said, "but they will." She turned to the drone. Sarah activated the live feed. Across the Empire, the people watched. They saw the traitor, the battle, the truth, and they chose. Outside the palace, Corvax's soldiers began dropping their weapons. One by one, peace was returning. Back in the throne room, Corvax fell to his knees. Mercer walked up, bruised and bloodied. "You lost," Corvax hissed. "She's just a weak queen, and you're just a man." Mercer leaned in. "Yeah, a man who keeps his promises." He turned to Zalara. "What now?" She looked around the throne room, once filled with fear, now full of hope. "We rebuild." Days passed. The war was over. Corvax was imprisoned. The palace repaired. A new council formed. Mercer stood on a balcony, watching the sunrise. Zalara joined him. "You could leave now?" she said softly. He nodded. "I could, but will you?" He looked at her. "I think my fight isn't over yet." She smiled. "Then stay. Help me build something better." He smiled back. "I've got nowhere else to be." The Empire had almost fallen. But a human. And a queen brought it back. Together, and in every school, on every world, children were taught the story of the ghost soldier. And the child he once saved, not a legend anymore, but history. Peace had returned to Thrax's prime. The sky, once filled with fire and smoke, now shone blue and clear. The city, once broken by war, had begun to heal. The streets were filled with workers repairing walls, children playing again, and flags of unity flying high from every tower. But not all wounds healed quickly. Some ran deep scars left by betrayal, fear, and loss. Queen Zalara stood on the steps of the royal hall, wearing her ceremonial armor. Around her stood thousands of citizens, soldiers, elders, and visitors from distant worlds. This was the new dawn of the Thraxian Empire. Beside her, dressed in a simple black jacket, stood Commander Elias Mercer. He didn't like big ceremonies. He didn't like standing in front of cameras. But today, he made an exception. Because this day meant everything. A young Thraxian voice echoed through the square. "I present to you, Her Majesty, Queen Zalara of House Valix, rightful ruler of Thraxis, defender of peace, and voice of the United Empire." The crowd erupted into cheers, clicks, chirps, shouts of joy. Zalara stepped forward. She raised her hand, and silence fell. "I do not stand here today alone," she said clearly. "I stand here because of all of you, those who fought, those who believed in one, who saved me long ago." She turned to Mercer. The cameras zoomed in. "Commander Elias Mercer," she said, her voice steady, "you are not of our kind, but you have given more to this empire than many ever did. Protected me when I was just a child. You returned when I was hunted. You fought beside me when I had nothing. And because of you, I live." Mercer shifted, a little uncomfortable. But he said nothing. "Today," Zalara continued, "I make this promise to you and to all. The past will never be forgotten. This empire will no longer be built on fear. We will not forget who stood with us, even when we were weak." She bowed her head, and then she said the words that changed everything. "Elias Mercer, by the power given to me by blood and crown, I name you honorary citizen of the Empire, bearer of the flame crest, and first human ambassador to Thraxis." Gasps filled the air. Mercer blinked. What? Later that evening, after the crowd had gone and the city grew quiet, Mercer sat alone on a balcony high above the Capitol. He looked down at the medallion around his neck. The flame crest, it shimmered. In the starlight, he had never cared about medals. He didn't want to be a hero. He just wanted to do the right thing. Footsteps behind him. Zalara walked up, holding 2 cups of hot root tea. She handed one to him. He took it with a nod. "You didn't have to do all that today. I wanted." "2," she replied. "My people needed to see it. You saved me once. Now I've repaid the debt." He sipped his tea. "Is that what this was? A debt?" She looked at him for a moment. "No," she said softly. "It was a promise." The next morning, Zalara met with her new council humans and Thraxians working side by side. Trade plans, education exchanges, and defense treaties were being signed with Earth and other friendly systems. The galaxy was changing, and the Thraxian Empire was no longer alone, but peace. Never lasted forever. That evening, as Mercer walked the outer wall of the city, his wrist beeped. "Commander," Sar's voice came through. "You might want to come to the tower. We've picked up something strange." Minutes later, he stood in the command room. Sarah pointed to the screen. A small ship had entered Thraxian, space silent. No beacon, no ID. It didn't match any known design. "Could be pirates," she said. "Or worse." Mercer narrowed his eyes. "Let's find out." The ship was brought down safely by patrol drones. It landed just outside the city, in a quiet field. Mercer, Zalara, and a squad of soldiers arrived to inspect it. As the ramp opened, a figure walked out. It was tall, covered in silver armor, with a face hidden by a smooth mask. "I come in peace," the voice said in a strange, humming tone. Zalara stepped forward. "State your name and your reason for entering our space." The figure removed its mask. It was part machine, part organic, a mix of alien and AI. "My name is Lyrics," it said. "I was sent to warn you." "Warn us?" Mercer asked. "About what?" "The ones who created me," Lyrics said. "They have awakened. They're watching your war, and they have decided your world may be next." Inside the palace, Lyrics shared data with Zalara and Mercer. The threat was real, a machinery sentient, and Forgotten had been hiding in the void between stars. They saw the fall of Korvax, the rise of a human ally, and the power of a united empire, and they saw it as dangerous. "They will come," Lyric said. "Not tomorrow, not next week, but soon, and they do not speak. They do not feel. They only conquer." Mercer stood up. "Then we'll stop them." Zalara nodded. Together, the palace became a hive of activity. Allies were called. New ships were built. Old weapons were brought out from deep vaults. The Empire did not panic. It prepared, because this time they would not be caught by surprise. A few nights later, Zalara found Mercer standing near the old cage, the one where she had been kept as a child. She stood beside him in silence. "I remember this place," he said. "You were so small, scared, but your eyes were sharp. You never gave up." She nodded. "And you risked your life for someone you didn't even know." "I'd do it again," he said. She looked at him. "And I would save you now, if it came to that." They stood there, two souls bound by war, fire, and memory. When the first wave of enemy scouts entered the outer systems, they were met not by fear, but by fire. By humans and Thraxians fighting as one. By commanders trained in battle. By a queen who would not bend, and by a human who once carried her through flames. Their names became more than legend. They became a promise that no matter how dark the galaxy became, hope would rise, and it would wear two faces, a queen and the human who saved her.